Hi, my name is Kayla Gentasio, and this is my presentation on flipped classrooms. What is a flipped classroom? Well, a flipped classroom is when students are introduced to new content at home and then bring it to school to practice. It has more of a blended learning approach in order for the students to understand each subject matter. It has a face-to-face interaction with teachers and students, along with mixed technology learning. It also has a concept to help students rethink their work. The students are introduced to new subject matter to help learn every day. It has more of a reverse pattern in order for students to go back and forth on each thing that they're doing to understand each subject. It helps emphasize certain ideas, standards, and the curriculum. It also helps students pause what they're doing, rethink their work, and review their own concepts. In order to be in a flipped classroom, you have to to understand to do a face-to-face interaction with the teachers, but also know how to do it on your own when the teacher has to move on to someone else. Why it matters. It matters because it creates change. It helps students and teachers rethink their own work that reflect on their daily values. It produces motivation and builds communication skills based on quality interactions. Not just communication skills with the students, but with the teachers as well, understanding each student and what each student needs in order for them to do better. Now, there are pros and cons of a flipped classroom. As you can see, I have listed more cons than pros, but I know the pros outweigh the cons. The cons include that it creates and exacerbates a digital divide between students and teachers. It constantly relies on the preparation and trust of each student to be ready for the classroom and the teacher to be ready for the students. It requires internet and computer access. So unfortunately, if you don't have the access at home, it will be very difficult for each student. It also increases the amount of time students spend in front of their laptop screen. The pros are it's more control over the classroom. Students are centered in learning collaboration. The lessons and content are more accessible if provided. And it also creates more efficiency. And efficiency is one of the main top points that are needed in a classroom. But there are risks still. It does rely on highly motivated learners. If there are no motivated learners, then there is no flipped classroom. You have to be able to understand the concept at home in order to bring it back into the classroom and revise it with your teacher. To get that face-to-face interaction with your teacher and not being motivated, you will never go anywhere. And again, the use of technology, internet accessibility can be a main issue. If a flipped classroom relies on the internet and computer access at home, and if you don't have it, there is no way you're going to learn properly. And not all students are visual learners. Some students need to be able to hear you, speak to you, and there are a whole different variety of students who need to be more visual and more projective in their work. Now, versus a regular classroom, the teacher stands in front of the classroom and lectures and presents whatever content is on the board. Unfortunately for students, they have little to no knowledge walking into the classroom and knowing what they're doing, being unprepared for the lesson. It has more comprehensive knowledge taken home with students, such as homework. It is more when you step into the classroom and you take it with you, instead of knowing what you're doing beforehand and stepping into the classroom and being mentally prepared. And the thoughts that you had on the test are only reviewed after and not previously reviewed in the previous weeks. My opinion on flipped versus regular classrooms are very different from most people. Even though a regular classroom has more of a group setting and more of a lecture setting, A flipped classroom is more effective. It has a hands-on approach for each student that needs it. The hands-on creates a personal relationship and helps improve the students' achievements. This helps involve the students in their education. It helps involve the parents and what their students are doing in the classroom. It helps involve anybody that is involved in the educational system just to make them a better student. Thank you.